Lost media. It's an interesting topic to discuss, whether that be a book that was written but never published, a video game that made it past the demo stage but never ended up in the shops, or a movie that was filmed but never made it to or past test screenings. It's a topic that's constantly brought up online. Some examples being the film Crybaby Lane that aired only once on Nickelodeon before being forgotten for over a decade before a copy was found by a user on Reddit. And Crack Master, the most unsettling short from Sesame Street, being aired only 12 times in the span of 5 years, then vanished for decades before a really strange set of circumstances led to a copy of the short being acquired by the founder of the Lost Media wiki Diecade and later posted online. Television is the most affected when it comes to lost media, which is not surprising considering how long it's been around and how much content is generated from it. A lot of television genres has lost media, genres including sitcoms, sports, news, yearly specials, and what I think is the hotspot for television lost media, game shows. And hotspot is only putting it lightly. Like, there is a lot of lost media in game shows, whether it be pilots, full seasons, or even entire shows. And one show that I don't think is thought of when the topic of lost game show media is brought up in a conversation is quite possibly the most iconic one, The Price is Right. I mean, from its syndicated versions, pilots, and various international versions, the show is somewhat the outcast when it comes to lost television, let alone game shows. When the show first premiered in September 1972, a lot of other game shows that were airing around this time were falling victim to junking, which means a videotape has its contents erased to make room for future content, no matter what was on the tape previously. Many game shows have become victims to this practice since the late 1940s, and only stopped becoming common by the mid-1980s, though there are many tragic exceptions of this practice being used long after archives were established for these programs. And while many universally known shows have missing episodes, The Price is Right may be the rarest example where its whole run, dating back to its beginnings, has been saved, aside from maybe The Joker's Wild. And while the show, which is still airing after 50 years, may have been saved from junking, the same cannot be said for its accessibility, and unfortunately not all of the show's episodes can be found online. And with the advent of a dedicated 24/7 channel on Pluto TV only rerunning episodes from season 11 onwards, a lot of the show's run has not resurfaced. The exact number of missing or episodes that have been blocked from reruns by Bob Barker due to fur coats being used as prizes, which is something you will never see today, is unknown, and even certain episodes from season 1 till the end of Barker's tenure in 2007 have not resurfaced, with very little of their contents being left behind. This video will cover 10 of those episodes that have not seen the light of day after all these decades. For the record, I will only cover episodes that are still at large with what concrete information or any visuals of each episode we have today. So episodes like the season 22 premiere and the debut of The Big Wheel will not be counted, as those have since resurfaced in full. With that out of the way, here are 10 missing or skipped episodes of The Price is Right.
We are going to run a whole bunch of prizes by you, beginning with this.
The April 6, 1984 edition of the show saw a great playing of the short-lived Walk of Fame, as Victoria became one of a handful of contestants to have won the game without the help of the autograph book, the other being Adelaide just 2 months later. Her Walk of Fame ended up winning her a waffler, radio, scuba gear, and catamaran. Aside from Walk of Fame, One Right Price, Any Number, Trader Bob, Penny Ante, and Dice Game were among the other games played in the episode. A clip of the Walk of Fame playing is available on YouTube, and as of right now is the only footage from this episode to have surfaced, as this is among many episodes that Pluto TV has skipped over in reruns on the Barker Era channel. Aside from doing other productions for Mark Goodson and Bill Todman, Johnny Olson will be forever known as the first announcer on the show who would say the now iconic phrase. Come on now! Olson's delivery of the iconic phrase is seared into pop culture's consciousness forever, and various announcers who would follow him after his passing in 1985 would model their saying of the phrase after him. Just how much of a booming presence Olson was during his time on the show can be seen in the numerous showcase appearances he made, and a particular unique recording of him warming up the audience for a taping.
Now, what'll happen first? All the lights will come up. You'll be lit. I mean, you'll all get lit. Then I will cue the applause, and you'll start to applaud and cheer, and the cameras will all be up there panning your faces. They're panning your faces, and then as they pan them, then you'll hear the name, and I'll announce your name, and you say, "It's me! I'm coming, Johnny!" You jump straight up in the air.
Olson gives the taping's production code of 1685D, which would be the episode that would air on November 21st, 1975, and the aforementioned recording is the only piece of content from this episode, aired or otherwise, to have surfaced. Bullseye and The Price is Right have an interesting history together. First having been a pricing game that debuted one day after the show premiered, it was retired after only a week of play. Then having its namesake and similar format to be recycled into two different pricing games a few years later that are still played today. But before that, a week after Bullseye was discontinued, it received a makeover that hasn't been done on the show since. It was remade from a one-contestant game into a two-contestant game now called Double Bullseye, and involved the contestants going back and forth giving bids for a car with suggestions of a higher or lower bid from Bob until one contestant got the price right on the nose. This game, while just as short-lived as Bullseye 1.0, it lasted 2 weeks longer than Bullseye 1.0 and would be reused in glorious fashion for the Australian version's showcase game. Footage of the first playing of this history piece of a pricing game is available on YouTube, and given that the upload is a recording of a 2011 television set playing the episode the game was played on, it's confirmed that a home recording of the episode does exist, though this upload is all that there is available of the episode.
And let it come down between those pegs. I don't know whether you can see those pegs on camera or not, but there are pegs all through here that will cause that to bounce around. As a matter of fact, I asked them, why did you name it Plinko? They named it Plinko because that goes plink, 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 plink. See? Some of our people drink.
Plinko is quite possibly the game most people associate the show with, no matter how many knockoffs are on the shelves. A lot of high scores were achieved on the game, though none have gotten to the $50,000 threshold, though unsurprisingly, since the middle slot was doubled, many contestants have made it past the previously established $25,000 threshold. Though on one occasion, the $25,000 threshold was almost reached when the middle slot was still $5,000. One contestant, whose identity is unknown, managed to win all 5 chips, but only managed to get 4 of them in the middle slot, with the other one landing in a $1,000 slot, resulting in, at the time, record-breaking $21,000 win on Plinko. Only a single photo of the score is all that can be found of the episode. One Away may be the one pricing game during the show's heyday where its first 2 playings cannot be found online. We'll talk about its first playing later in the video, but aside from One Away, Any Number, Double Prices, Trader Bob, Race Game, and Now and Then are known to have been played in the episode. As of right now, this episode may have a higher chance of resurfacing among the other episodes on this list. This is possibly the most recent episode of the show that has not resurfaced and may be one of the rare examples that an episode has never aired. According to Mr. Bill 1978 on the infamous goldenroad.net forum, who was at the June 26, 2000 taping, the episode was meant to air on September 27, 2000, but ended up getting shelved on September 11, 2000 because 2 contestants in Contestants Row ended up in the wrong spots at some point during the taping. The pricing games played in that episode ended up being reused in the replacement episode that was filmed on September 11th. The episode has not emerged since.
I want you to meet a friend of mine and help me wish him well. This is Rick Tansey. Rick, step out here. Now, come on off from behind that camera for a moment. Come here.
This episode would mark cameraman Rick Tansey's last day as a CBS cameraman. Before the first item was brought out for the contestants, Bob acknowledged that it was Rick's final day at CBS after 26 years of working as a cameraman for the network, with other productions including The Young and the Restless and the People Next Door episode of CBS Playhouse under his belt. A 4-minute video of highlights of the episode has since surfaced online, and given that you can see a fur coat in the uploaded footage, the reason why this episode has never resurfaced in full is made more clear. Remember earlier in the video when I said that the episode with One Away's second playing has a higher chance of resurfacing? Now we get to why I say that. Picture this. You're sat in front of the TV on the morning of December 4th, 1984. Press Your Luck had just finished its installment for the day, and The Price is Right comes on. Ooh, nice, a snowmobile was won on Give and Take. Ooh, a new game called One Away, that ought to be a classic. A jukebox couldn't be won on Grocery Game, and the deluxe dice game did a 180 on Francis? That's alright, there's always a tomorrow. You're enjoying yourself, and then the showcase starts. The first showcase is completely harmless, with a bunk bed, bedroom, and cabinet being up for grabs. A $6,800 bid is locked in, and this is where things go off the rails. The next showcase is themed around Romans. Yeah, I'm not gonna say what the prices were or show any screenshots of it because it is in such poor taste. It's very likely that this episode was online at one point since we have various screenshots of the episode. Don't expect this to show up online anytime soon.
When history writes against this show, Susan, it will be recorded that you were the first contestant to ever play Cliffhanger.
Aside from Plinko, Cliffhangers may be another game people associate the show with, and maybe the most and various stills being posted to Facebook 5 years later. Much like the debut of The Big Wheel, we might see this episode resurface in full one day. And now we get to what I think is the most infamous missing episode of The Price is Right, and another occasion where the episode in question got shelved before airing. But this time, it didn't happen later in the show's run, or during the show's heyday. This happened very early in the show's run, like the third episode ever recorded. The existence of this unaired episode was unheard of until 2006 when user Steve Gavassi on the notoriously toxic goldenroad.net forum made a post revealing the episode's existence with permission from the staff at the time. The post went into detail on the unaired episode, which reveals that it went unaired due to a contestant being found ineligible following the taping's conclusion, while also giving a full recap of the episode and names of the contestants who appeared on that episode, with the winner of that episode being Betty Hayes with a total of $4,622 worth of prizes won. While the identity of the ineligible contestant was not officially stated in the post, the consensus is that Leah Fendel was the ineligible one since she was the wife of one of the cameramen. A replacement episode was recorded 6 days after the episode was scrapped, and that can be found today. Aside from this post, no other content from this episode has seen the light of day, and whether or not the episode is intact is up in the air considering it was very early in the show's trailblazing run. And there you have it, that's 10 missing or skipped episodes of The Price is Right. This is my first venture into lost media video making. I want to do more videos like this in the future since it's out of my comfort zone and my interest in lost media has grown in the past couple years, but I want to hear what you think about this first venture into lost media video making. Anyway guys, I've been ComedyFan74, see you soon.